Let's do this. Hello everyone, I'm Rachel, the Modern Shaman, and thanks for being here for my YouTube Q&A video this week. If you are unfamiliar with me or my work, I am a working shaman and seer and have been in this metaphysical community utilizing my gifts for well over 20 years. And I have done everything from think tanks to working with law enforcement, on casework in terms of missing person work, homicide work. I have done shamanic land clearings, healings, curse removals, you name it, future probabilities, past life viewing, mediumship. I did win the award for the best female, I can't ever say it right, the best female medium in 2016 in the World Paranormal Society Awards. So I've been in this community for a really long time, and I share that only to let you know that my expertise is not coming from some kind of trite sense of connection, that I truly have seen a lot and been involved in really every possible avenue that you can utilize psychic gifts and connection with the non-physical realm. So I hope that that is a service to you when I share these videos, to know that this content has been experiential by my practice and my own personal growth and utilization of my gifts in many forums. Also, if you're interested further in connecting with me, I love to guide everyone that's unfamiliar with my work to my website. It's just a great resource and a hub for connecting with me if you want one-on-one sessions, or for developing your own gifts if you want to learn more and take a formal class. I have a masterclass curriculum that's also on the website. Really, it's just a great, like I said, hub of information to move yourself further if that's something you're interested in. The website is themodernshaman.net, and those are the resources for you. If you want to send in your question, you can also do it on that website. Here is the question for today. It says, "Hi Rachel, thank you for everything that you do. I can't wait to get out there for my next session. I have a question that comes from our session together, but is a little bit more towards everyone learning. Please answer it on a YouTube video." Here we are. "I'm interested in how we can tap into the memory outside of our human awareness and how we can integrate those lifetimes into our lifetime here on Earth. For example, I feel that I have a lifetime connected with the Pleiades and it feels active at certain times in my life. How do I integrate that into my regular waking world?" Okay. Yes. That's a big one. That's a fun question. I think this is more relevant than many of us realize, because oftentimes we have past life triggers that come up through fears, through people that we see walking on the street and we feel like we've known them before, through experiences in our lives that somehow trigger an irrational response from us, that, you know, in this time it wouldn't make sense in this lifetime to respond the way we're responding, and yet we still feel that way. Like we feel like something's life or death. For example, when the epidemic came up, so many people who had had past lives that dealt with being involved, you know, living during a plague, a time of the plague or things like this, it really brought up a trauma response in so many of those living on Earth that had past lives during a time during the plague. So that, for example, is a way that your past life oftentimes comes up. And I call them past lives, but they're not really past lives. They are concurrent lives, because beyond this earthly experience, our soul lives outside of time. And this is the first thing you'll hear with near-death experiences, where they're like, well, all of these things happened when I'm on the other side, but I can't quite, I'm explaining them in a linear order, but they weren't in this order, or they happened all at once, or there was a long period that went by. Granted, it only took 12 minutes. of me to be flatlined to experience that. So a lot of people that try to explain in human language what it's like on the other side, they're explaining a timeless state or a state beyond time. And that is true of all living or concurrent lives or past lives experienced. They are truly, when you're on the other side or when I am tuning into that realm, they are happening in the now, which is the only thing that truly exists, is the now. And I know our human minds can't truly wrap around that because our human mind is a processor. So it needs linearity to move through the brain. And that's just part of the system of this biological body that we live within right now. So let that be okay. Be at peace with the fact that as I'm explaining this, as you're trying to understand it, it's going to grasp at linearity. And we can use words like past life, but don't get hung up on the fact that, well, that was then, so, and this is now. No, it's all now. And that is actually my first point of kind of awareness around it, is knowing that these things are happening all in the now. And so the accessibility to them is also in the now, meaning they will feel like they have just as much impact in your current life as in other lives if you are living from a higher dimensional perspective. I hope that my language is not losing a lot of you viewers, because the question itself is a pretty high level question, and you have to be pretty self-aware to even be aware of other lifetimes and the fact that it feels like they're impacting you now. If that is you, then this video is for you, and I will answer it as honestly and transparent as I possibly can. And whatever you resonate with, you resonate. If you don't resonate, turn off the video. It's not for you. No harm, no foul. Okay. First thing I will say is that there's two kind of ways to deal with this: proactive and reactive. So a proactive response is essentially you going out and seeking the awareness of these past lives. This would be done through, like I do past life sessions. You can do past life hypnosis regression. There are a lot of healers that will offer this, or psychics that will offer this. You can also do meditations in this. There are guided meditations probably on YouTube to seek out past life visions for yourself, shamanic journeys with that intention set up at the beginning to move into a past life, to view it, to have awareness of it. And so that's my first piece of advice, would be to be proactive at seeking these out. Now, the strongest portal to get to these past life memories is through the Well of Dreams chakra, which is right here in the back of the throat chakra. If you're aware of the 13-level chakra system, it is the balance polarity chakra of the throat chakra. So this is in the front, this is in the back. So this is our kind of external yang side of our energy body. And then we have the receiving side here, or the yin, where we pull kind of in. And so this is the portal for the back of the throat chakra, called the Well of Dreams, and it has access to those past life. Now, I say that for those of you guys who are highly clairsentient or sensitive within the physical range of the body, empaths, and those who are aware of kind of their chakra system and how the energy is brought in and where there may be blockages. So you can literally physically tap or initiate a sense of physical pressure. You can put almost like a tennis ball there and lay on the floor to relieve and bring that physical element of the muscles open, to bring relaxation to the body, and then move into a very specific targeted meditation to open that portal. I would move into it. This is my suggestion. Put the tennis ball behind your neck, lay on the floor, get very, very still, like statue still. Focus all of your energetic attention on the pressure and the opening up of that physical point. When you give yourself a tactile point of focus, like pressing on a point in the body and then stopping the pressing and then focusing all of your psychic intentional energy there, you can move the energy there with more precision. The same is true if you're working through clairaudience and you're speaking out loud a mantra, and then you get very, very quiet, stoic and still, and then you let yourself hear that repeated sound inside the inner voice. It's easier to hone that precision of your psychic gifts that way. So put the tennis ball at the back of the deck, lay on the floor, set the intention to that point of focus, opening that up like a valve, seeing it almost like a wormhole coming out of the back of the head. If you can activate your clairvoyance, all the better. To see this happening, align as deeply as you can in all of your psychic gifts and set the intention to view a past life or a concurrent life, or this life that you talked about in the Pleiades, and anything that is occurring in that life or has occurred in that life. Just use language that feels natural, that has a sense of ease to it. To that life that is affecting you and having impact now in your current expression. Those are the easiest to go to. Kind of an emotional nodule of something that's happening in that lifetime that is also impacting you and having effect now. You'll usually go to a particular moment. Sometimes it's traumatic, quick memory. Sometimes you get the sensation of it. You don't necessarily see it, but you get the sensation of it. Sometimes you get the awareness of it in your claircognizance. Like, I just know. I don't know why I know, but I know. All of these may be active depending on what psychic gifts you in particular have and have active in your body. So as you're keeping your body still, open to that intention, you essentially let yourself go there, have the awareness, you observe, and then you begin to move your fingertips and your toes. And so essentially you draw your energy from being in that static position and just focus on the multidimensional into the physical, into the 3D. When you start movement in the body, you pull the spirit back into the focus of the physical realm and bring it into integration. The next kind of advice I would do on that point is to set the intention to have as much ease and grace of the integration of what was received or seen from that past life or future life or concurrent life within the body now. So essentially, as you're moving the fingertips and toes, still laying on the floor, you would say that I want that memory that I just experienced or that awareness or observation that I just had to be as gracefully and easy within my body so that I may have a graceful integration. So essentially that it may integrate without kind of that body shock or that system shock to our parasympathetic nervous system. Because sometimes what we see is very gruesome or heart-wrenching or very difficult. And the awareness of bringing that back in can be shocking to the system. So setting that attention, just like we did before when we went to the past life, to as we come back in, to set the intention to have as much ease and grace as possible. And then slowly get up and move about your day. That is the proactive use and suggestion that I have. Another proactive way that we can do this is through what has been studied now as epigenetics in the scientific community. Sometimes it's called pseudoscience, but essentially they found that with identical twins that share the same genetic code, that not all of the genetics are present, that they have enough genetic variation in the genetic code that they started to study it and see why do certain genes turn on in certain identical twins and certain genes stay latent in other twins, even though their genetic makeup is identical. And so what they found is that through the mind and the things that they believed and kind of went after, that they were able to modify or affect their genetic sequencing to where the genes would become active and essentially turn on and to create kind of the life and the lifestyle that they are seeking. Some that are conscious, some that are unconscious of this. And so they began to study the impact of this essential mind over matter, of, considering DNA the matter or the building blocks of that matter. So as they were studying this, the same can be true in all of us, where this junk DNA, or the DNA that is latent now, that doesn't seem to be active in the body, can be activated through a conscious decision to activate it. And the storage of our soul memory is within our DNA material. It is available there. And so setting the intention to essentially activate particular lifetimes stored within your DNA, particular events, particular abilities, can be highly effective. Now, I have in my masterclass a shamanic journey that I do to activate any psychic gifts that were developed in past lives, because we have a lot of training that was developed in the kind of different religious communities and sects, the Druids, the Native American communities. There's a lot of communities that heralded the science of the psychic realm, and they trained individuals. Egyptian lifetimes trained individuals. There's been a lot of mystic schools over many lifetime and millennia on this earth. And so you can set the intention that any training that you received and have stored within the genetic material within your own DNA to become active, and simply setting that intention, holding the body still, and going through a prolonged period of time that is in that alpha or theta brainwave state, which is like the meditative, relaxed state, without any noise or friction to that frequency. You can also do this just daydreaming about those lifetimes. This is also typically a theta brainwave state. Sometimes alpha, but alpha can be there. It's a little less than theta, but it can still have a true impact on turning on the epigenetic DNA that's stored there in your latent DNA. I know this sounds kind of out there, but it's really not. The practical impact of it is super simple, you guys. So don't let the science or the language that I'm using make you think like, oh, I can't do this. This is crazy. Yeah, you can. Sit down, sit very stoically still like a statue, set that intention, and be very sharp with your intention. That's the thing. The body is super relaxed, and you can listen to anything that essentially relaxes the mind, whether it be drumming, native drumming. Native drumming is great because it has that grounding and that deep frequency tone. They're usually around 4 hertz. Anything in that lower hertz capacity gets us into those lower states and that relaxed alpha or theta brainwave state. And from that state, set the intention. Very sharp with the intention, almost like you could point a laser with your third eye into the intention that I want to turn on any thing that I learned in another life that has accessibility or that I have need for in this current lifetime, right now. Any abilities, any knowledge, anything that essentially that you have intentional use for. Sit down, think about it beforehand, and decide what it is you want to turn on within your latent DNA and move through that process. Sometimes this is called quantum jumping. They teach a lot of techniques in the energetic realm now, but it's very simple. It's not complicated. It's the power of your set intention, which means can you link up with what you're intending? Body, mind, and soul. Focused. And give 100% of that in that moment. I hope that was helpful to you. If you want to ask a follow-up question, you always can. I'll be back next week with another video, you guys. Mwah! Blessings.